I'm going to give you a quick overview of the latest Digi-Gurdy variant. First of all, the key spacing is correct. It's actually the same as on the Nerdy-Gurdy, and the keys are visible from the back as normal. You'll see it's reasonably compact. The sound box has been reduced in height, depth slightly. This just makes it a little bit more easy to maneuver and manipulate on your lap, especially if you're a younger player. We have a screen, we have a tuning peg. I'll go into what that's for in a minute. You have a MIDI out connector, we have a knob, a button and a crank. Now just go through the mechanics first of all. The crank has a correct shaped knob. It has proper bearings in it, you see it spins, and there are proper bearings here so you can get the correct feel. There is a resistance to turning which is adjustable by this tuning peg. This actually puts tension on a drum system, a bit like the drum brake of a car, which is adjustable in here, and that gives you the correct friction. So it's a more realistic crank system. If I take the top off here, you'll see that the keys, if I turn this around, the keys act on little, they have tangents in effect, which act on little micro switches. See here, the micro switches have springs in them, so it tends to push the key back. And you see they run pretty smooth. And as I say, that's correct. It's exactly the same as a Nerdy-Gurdy. You've got pegs here for your leather strap, and you've got a USB outlet here. It's one of the more rugged type, the sort you see in the back of the old inkjet printers. And the other thing you've got in here is a small tubular phone power bank. It's a rechargeable battery. You recharge it through this little port here, and you draw power from it from the main USB socket there. And we'll come to that later. That's like optional. So how does it work? Well, inside there is a computer. I'll show you that later. And it's reading the speed of the crank, and it's reading which buttons are being pressed. It's driving the screen, and it's outputting MIDI data. And now it's outputting the MIDI data in two ways. It's sending it to a conventional, for MIDI out socket here, but it's also sending the data out through the USB here. That's called USB MIDI. So really, this is an unusual, very unusual MIDI keyboard. So to play some music, we need to attach it to something that has what's called sound fonts in it. These are the sound files. So we take this lead, okay, you'll notice it's got a 90-degree bend, that's deliberate. We plug it in here, there. See how it neatly goes off this way. So if your iPad, for example, is on a table, the lead is going the correct direction. On the end of the lead, you have just a normal male USB plug. Now then you use an adapter. So if you're using an iPad, which I recommend, but you don't have to, you could use an iPhone, an Android phone, or a PC if you're into PC synthesizer software. You use the correct adapter. So for me, using an iPad, I'm using the iPad camera adapter, Apple camera adapter, which is USB this side, and then the relevant plug for your model of, they keep changing, iPad. So if we take an iPad, I'll go off camera and just type in the security code, and I'm going to open BS16i, which is an app which is about $8 I think on the App Store. Plug in my iPad there. You can see you get multiple tracks. There are 6 channels. 2 are the melody strings, then you have the trumpet, the drone, then you also have the buzz sound when you're cranking. You can choose the actual sound of the buzz you want. Also key clicks. Hurdy-gurdys have a characteristic clickety-clack sound from the keys. I can actually synthesize those. If you don't like that, that's fine. You turn the volume down. There's a volume slider for each channel, which is very helpful. I'll just move my camera a little here. There we go. Right, the other thing I find useful is it's quite cool to plug in one of these speakers. There's all kinds of different variations. They're just rechargeable, USB rechargeable speakers. So I plug that into here, or you could use your piece amp system, or you could use one of those Makita building site radios, or anything you want really. I'll just turn this, is just a little cheap one. Turn that on. Okay. Now you'll notice the screen is lit up with some menus, and I'll just go through them quickly, but I'll do a separate video on this. Right, we have some menus, and it's saying, and I've booted it up one time too many. Hang on. It's booting up. It's detected the cranks working, that's good. Right, load a preset. Load save slot. New tuning setup. Basically, I won't go through the new tunings, but you can set any tuning you want, including some that don't really exist for real hurdy-gurdies. So we'll load, I'm a beginner, so we'll load a preset. Now if we imagine that key is key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I can navigate the menu using the keys. So it says load preset, press key 1. Right, it's giving me some options. Let's have option 2, GC with C drones. Okay, so I'm going to press key 2. Right, it's telling me now my high melody is G4, my low melody is G3, my drone is G2, my trumpet is C4. I can modify those with these keys, these little buttons. See, it says transpose. You can actually later on in the menus go up or down semitones, and you can also put a capo on or off using this button. These two buttons are spare for future software developments. So anyway, let's have the basic tuning. So A is accept, X is go back. That's the A button for accepting things in the menu. That's the X button for cancelling things in a menu or going back. So we'll accept that tuning. So I'm going to press that. There we are. Now crank on, ready to go. What happens if I turn the crank? Let's put this back on the tripod. Cranking. What happens if I crank? G4. See, it tells me G4. It even shows it. Look there, shows the notes for me. I'll just show you that if I can. See? Right. What are the other knobs for? This knob sets when the buzz comes in. So let's try that. Slow cranking. See the buzz? Now if I want the buzz to come in at a slower crank speed, I can adjust it with this. See, that's too much now. So we'll just go the other way. I know that's not the correct way to hold the knob. See, it's pretty sensitive to, you know, as a simulation of a crank. I mean, I would say that's pretty good, but you know, I'm not an expert. Yeah. Now you can see in there's a wheel going around. It's actually a drum, and against the drum is a band of brake material, and it's pulled onto the drum by this tuner. So if I turn that clockwise, this gets harder to turn. So if you're too lazy to crank and you just want to practice tunes with your left hand, you can turn on auto cranking. There you are. Right, now you can play again. Get the general idea there. Okay. Also, I can do clever things with this. I can put a bit of delay in. Gives you a bit of an echo. If you listen to this now. Hear that? Just sounds like you're playing in a massive concert hall. Okay. What else? Right, wireless. Now, this doesn't come with the hurdy-gurdy in its basic form, but if you don't want to use this lead, you'll notice the hurdy-gurdy is being powered from the iPad I'm not using any internal power. But let's say we wanted to go wireless. Could we do that? Yes, we could. If I disconnect the iPad, sorry, disconnect that. Now I'd actually use a very short link cable, about this long. But what I'm doing is I'm going to plug the USB lead through which the power was coming to the Digi-Gurdy. I'm going to plug it into this little power bank here. As I say, normally you would use a short lead. I've got one on order that just loops around in a U like that, not this long one. But just for demonstration, I'll do that. Now you can see it's lit up, we've got power. And what I'm going to do is plug in one of these. Now again, you have to buy that yourself, but this is a Bluetooth MIDI transmitter, you see. And it uses the old school MIDI sockets designed for synthesizers things. If you remember that was the MIDI out. You see it's flashing on and off blue. So this is not now connected to my iPad in any way. See, we're completely hands-free now. So how do I connect the iPad? Well, if I go to MIDI settings, it's got Bluetooth MIDI devices. WIDI master, this is called a WIDI master, not connected. Oh, connected, right. So hopefully now, so we're completely mobile now. We'll just go through the setup, go load a preset, there we are, set crank on. Get the general idea there.